Welcome back to Tarot and Beyond. Today's reading is looking at your next awakening or spiritual awakening experience. So the concept of awakening isn't necessarily confined to the spiritual realm. It can mean any kind of consciousness expansion, realization, epiphany, or new realm of thought. But we will be looking at it from a spiritual lens and perspective. So we have 3 groups to choose from as usual. Group number 1 is represented by number 2, the Presence card. Group number 2 is represented by number 38, Olympus. And group number 3 is represented by number 42, Rebirth. So go ahead and select the reading or readings that resonate with you. Use the timestamps linked in the description box or pinned in the comment section below to jump ahead to your chosen reading or readings, and we will see you there. All right, hi group number 1. You chose Presence as your significator card. So it feels like this next awakening for you is an opening into an area that you previously have unexplored. So this next level of spiritual awakening it's almost like a gateway or a portal for you to move through into a realm of higher or more expanded consciousness. It does feel like you're seeing things more clearly. I also just heard brain fog, so some of you may have been experiencing brain fog or confusion or mental difficulties, and through this new state of presence or this new state of awareness, you are leaving that time of feeling stuck or clouded or confused, and you're opening up or walking into a time of seeing things clearly. So let's take a look at the rest of your cards. I'm going to put that here with the Apophyllite, which was something that I acquired recently on a trip with a very spiritual soul sister of mine, and she led me to that particular crystal shop, and this crystal really screamed at me that I needed to purchase it. And so much so that I pointed at it and accidentally bumped it with my hand, and it fell over to show me the price underneath, because I was thinking in my head, no, it's too expensive. I can't afford a crystal that big. And lo and behold, I could afford it. So this could be something that you're working with as well. It could be Apophyllite specifically because that story came up and everything that happens in a reading is significant. Or it could be working with a particular crystal that helps to clear up your mind. Now, Apophyllite is directly connected to spiritual awakening and new levels of consciousness, so I'm not surprised that it requested to be here in this reading. So could have something to do with that. But let's take a look at the rest of your cards. So we're going to go into the Heavenly Bodies deck. We have the 5th house, passion, play, children, confidence, and creativity. Okay, so this could be a new state of creative expression that is it's giving you the renewal of passion to where you want to pursue something, where you're feeling more confident about yourself. And I'm also seeing that you're willing to go out on a limb. It's like you're taking a leap of faith, or you're trusting yourself and your talents and skills, and that is kind of leading you into this next state of being. So it's this confidence in yourself that I'm really seeing opening up these doors for you, and it's through some kind of play or creative expression. So tune into, specifically here in this card, we have the music notes. So it could have something to do with music or singing. It could have to do with frequency in and of itself as well. You might be experiencing an awakening through the frequency and attunement of a crystal, or through some kind of sound vibration. But I'm seeing this passion being ignited or reignited within you, and that's part of the inner light that guides you through into this next stage where you have a different presence within you. Like, you show up differently, people feel differently around you, and you feel differently within yourself because you are connecting to yourself in a way that is much deeper, more profound, and more inspired than in the past. Yeah, let's get one more from the Heavenly Bodies deck. You have the 2nd house, physical security, possessions, material values, and self-worth. So this card really talks about your ability to find value. So I'm seeing that your presence is changing because your sense of self value is also changing, and how you approach your own personal value is going to evolve, is what they just told me. So you're going to be shifting how you think about yourself. You're going to be shifting how you play, how you create, how you connect with people around you, and your own inner innocence. And it's this state of self-worth that really allows you to expand. So in this card, we see the bird is on the branch in the 5th house card, and on the 2nd house card we have the branch in the bird's beak, and he's transporting it with him. So you guys might be going on some kind of a journey. You might be pursuing your creativity in such a way that it leads you into new environments or meeting new people that help you to really recognize your value, your own worth, and what you really want to invest your time and energy into, because your personal values are part of the 2nd house as well. It's not just how you find value in yourself, it's you and what you value and what you want to invest your time, your energy into. This is the presence that I see opening this gateway for you, opening this pathway, because you are going out on a limb, trying something new you've never done before, and in doing so, finding a piece of yourself that has lain sort of dormant or being repressed. And then as a result, seeing the inherent value within you and being able to move in a new direction. Okay, I want to go into this deck as well. These cards are so big, but I see that one. I think we're just going to go one from this deck, yeah, because we still have to get one of the, I want to get a white light oracle card too. So we have Her Golden Grace, Goddess Lakshmi, and Dendritic Agate. So Dendritic Agate could be another crystal to work with through this period of awakening. Her Golden Grace is beautiful. Goddess Lakshmi is all about value and wealth and abundance. So the fact that you have the 2nd house here, the 5th house, and this card, it's very significantly kind of referring to the fact that you guys are going to be discovering some value within yourself. And that's really going to expand your sense of value in the world and how you can actually receive some of that as well, or move towards that and have that open up in your life. So as you are sparking this creative passion, you're feeling differently about yourself. Your internal subjective experience shifts and becomes clearer, because you are quite literally channeling energy. When you're doing anything creative, you're channeling spirit. That's why it's called inspiration. In spirit, the spirit within. So you're channeling that through you, and it's increasing your sense of self because more of you is getting in, if you want to think about it that way. And this is the golden grace that they're talking about here. And Lakshmi blesses you with this abundance. So I think there's going to be actual physical value that comes from this as well. Your presence is really attracting people or attracting value, or you're entering into a time when there's just more to enjoy around you, whether it's money or some kind of natural abundance. As we see here in the presence card, she's going into what looks like a beautiful garden, or she's going out into the wilderness where there's just a lot to offer and to experience. So I feel like there could be, like I said, travel, creative expression, and value in a physical or metaphorical sense. Now I want to get one of the white light oracle. This deck requested to be here in the reading. You have Sacrament of Extreme Unction. Okay. So for this one, I want to read it out of the book. Okay, that's interesting. I opened it to the number 38, and it's 38 here. And I think the second card as the significator for group 2 was number 38. So that could be significant to you. Maybe you're being called to watch group 2 as well. Or it could be a significant number sequence that you're seeing coming up through this time of increased creativity and presence and this phase of awakening. So let's take a look at Sacrament of Extreme Unction. So it says, your heart knows how to let go so you can find peace. It is a time for you to experience spiritual closure. A beautiful new reality is opening up for you. Entering it requires you to release your attachment to the past. You have been inwardly preparing for a powerful rebirth. Now is the time to trust in what is meant for you and move toward it with an open, trusting heart and peaceful mind. Okay, there's one other sort of passage in this description, this long couple of page description here that I want to mention. It says, extreme unction translates into last anointing, whilst spiritual grace, will be with you always, and blessing is always available to the receptive heart. This oracle wishes to bring to your attention the ending of a particularly stubborn pattern. As it does, you will feel greater freedom and a new lease on life, as if you are being born again within this lifetime. It augurs significant and permanent healing release. Oh, wow. Permanent healing release, group number 1. So if you've been experiencing brain fog, confusion, disconnection from yourself, dissociation, or a feeling of ungroundedness, or just being disconnected from yourself, this is the pattern that is being permanently healed for you. And it is going to really expand your potential to express and to play and to feel grounded in the world, and in so doing, being able to really find value in it and within yourself. So that's why your presence significantly shifts and changes, because you're doing some kind of manifestation work, is what they just said. I was actually going to say healing work, and they said manifestation work, and then that's what ended up coming out of my mouth. So this is something that you've been manifesting for a while, group number 1, and this is something you've been like praying to the gods, is what they just showed me, but you could just be like saying affirmations, writing it down, thinking about it, that stuff. And I see this really, paying off in this way. I think this is part of the value in it. It's paying off. Everything that you've put into this, every time that you questioned that pattern or tried to find a solution, it has paid off, because your stubbornness and relentlessness in your pursuit of freedom from this pattern and from this fog that you were stuck in is coming to fruition. You are seeing that happen. And very quickly, what I'm feeling timeline wise is that you're already in this path. You're already walking through the gate here. You're seeing the light, and you're solidifying it as you continue to walk into that new environment, because that's what it feels like, a new environment. You could be changing up your location, because we did see the branch stable here and then being taken with you. This could indicate moving. You could be changing homes. You could be moving to a different province or state or country. You could also be just changing your environment in terms of who you're around or what your environment looks like. Maybe you're changing your house, doing some renovations or redecorating, moving things around, feng shui perhaps, unpacking, doing some fall or spring cleaning. It just feels like the grace that you're receiving is actually helping you to do these things. And in so doing, again, you're releasing these patterns and permanently changing how you embody and how you feel in your day-to-day life, which in turn helps you think more clearly and to express your creativity. Now, I do want to get a couple more cards from the actual deck that we pulled the significator from. And I want to say thank you to the subscribers, the anonymous donors who have brought us these cards. These ones, and these ones are all from subscribers using my Amazon wish list, which is always linked in the description box below. Okay, I do feel these too, so maybe we'll take 3. Okay. We have freedom. Yeah, and that's exactly what Sacrament of Extreme Unction was talking about as well. It's like you're freeing yourself. You're going from this prison of the mind, or this state of disconnection that felt like a trap that you were stuck in, into a state of freedom where you're actually free to play, to have inspiration be your guiding light, is what Spirit just said. Have inspiration be your guiding light. Oh, how beautiful is that? And following that towards brighter horizons. Oh my God, they're just really lyrical with it today. I love when Spirit channels really beautiful, prose almost. And I feel like there's a blossoming, a blooming. Again, you're stepping into the light. We can see that here in these 2 cards. You're going from a period of darkness, confusion, or like lack of clarity into an experience where you're actually seeing things very, very clearly with precision, is what they just said, with precision. And that is, again, that's where the grace comes in, because you're basking in the light of the Creator. You are being that. Your consciousness is expanded. You have greater awareness of what you need, and you're able to pursue that because your values are very clear. And I almost just said veil when I tried to say value. So the veil around your value has been lifted. That was the cage. You weren't seeing your value properly or clearly. You were devaluing yourself or even things that you value outside of you. And this awakening is bringing that clarity of perception into very laser focus. Laser focus. Are you able to now see your value and the value you can share with the world. Ooh, I'm loving this reading for you, group number 1. Let's take a look at these other 2 cards you have. Commitment. Wow. And I love that they have a same-sex commitment being portrayed here. Non-denominational here on this channel, as you guys probably know. Love is love, and I am in support of all unions because they are all divine. And so we see here that commitment, look at that number 44, 11, these patterns could be repeating in your life as well. Number 2 just jumped out at me. So this could even be something that, you know, you're combining with someone else. You're finding clarity through connection. But what I'm really seeing with the commitment card is that it's through your dedication to the pursuit of clarity that has led you to this point in your spiritual awakening or in your awakening process. And that's what's leading to freedom. So this commitment is a driving force towards the freedom. And the more that you double down and commit to that freedom and to that value and to that expression of yourself, your authentic self, the more that you will see your connections with other people improve, because like I was saying, people are going to see you differently because your presence is shifting, your embodiment has changed, your consciousness and your sense of self is evolving and expanding. And so as a result, you know, the types of interactions and dynamics you have with others are in turn going to be different. And I'm noticing that I keep using that phrase in turn, or that word in turn. And I do that within readings. I will catch myself using the same word over and over again. Part of that is echolalia. Like I verbally stim sometimes, and I'll use like words. If I like the way it feels in my mouth, I'll say it again and again. But I like to take note of those repeating words because sometimes they can give an indication as to something that's happening in the reading. And the phrase in turn can literally be about turning. And when I think of in, it's going inward. So you're turning inward. And as a result, you are turning your life around. And in turn, things are shifting on your behalf. Yeah, okay, let's take a look at this one. Landing. Wow. I love the dragon person there with the wings. Okay, so this is you landing in a new life is what I just heard. Yeah, so you might quite literally be taking flight. Now, this can be analogous is the word they just gave me, but I was going to say more like a metaphor for expanding into a higher dimensional consciousness of self. That's what really awakening is. But this could be literal in the sense that, like I said before, you may be traveling, moving, or shifting your location or your home in some way. But I'm seeing you landing in a much more stable environment. And that's what I'm seeing here with the presence card. It's like you're moving into a whole new environment that I was almost about to say in turn again, that gives you this greater capacity for freedom. Like you're just not trapped anymore. You're able to move more freely. I did just get a message that if somebody has been trapped in a commitment they didn't want to be in, this is not for everyone. This is for one person specifically, what Spirit just said. If you've been trapped in a marriage or commitment that you felt very limited by, it was not healthy, it was toxic, there was a whole lack of clarity there, I'm seeing you freeing yourself from that situation and either divorcing or separating or, you know, physically moving yourself away from that individual. And in doing so, you really see the clarity open up. You start to see life and yourself more clearly again. It's almost like this person was like casting a dark cloud over your life and was obscuring the way that you were thinking and seeing the world because they were kind of projecting their distorted or warped reality onto you. Like I said, that's not going to apply to everyone. That's for one specific person. And you don't have to share that's you if you resonate with it and you don't want to share that. Don't feel like you need to say, oh, it's me. But there you have it. They just wanted me to get that message across. So for the rest of you and for all of you in general, this is a time of really going on an adventure of some kind that expands your consciousness and gets you back in touch with your value And then as a result, you're able to land in a much more stable environment, which is very fertile, is what Spirit just said as well. So because there's a lot of light there, if we think of the sun as the life-giving force, you know, there's a lot of sun there. And so the land is fertile and abundant as a result. So I really see this being your capacity to grow in this environment being exponential. Like whereas before, the old environment or the old situation you were in was very limiting and confining, and you weren't seeing things clearly, and it was kind of oppressing you in a way. Now I see you really expanding and coming back home to yourself and creating that home wherever you happen to be on the planet. You will have safe landing and safe passage. That's what they wanted to say as well for you, group number 1. So that is what I see for you in this reading here. This spiritual awakening is very profound, as all are, but this particular one is freeing you, and it's very, very abundant. So I'm very happy to relay that message to you. I hope this reading resonated and supported you through this awakening phase and into this new stage of presence within. So I'm sending you guys lots of love. Thank you so much for being here and supporting the channel in the various ways that you do that through your views, like subscribes, shares, donations, super thanks, memberships, donations of cards and decks to the channel, and other ways that I can't think of. Maybe even just sending me loving energy. Thank you guys. I love you so much. And if you want to work with me one-on-one or receive more personal guidance, I do currently have spots available into November for personal readings. I've got the 2 options on my website. It's tarotandbeyond.com, which is linked below. And you can choose from those 2 options, which are either the intuitive tarot reading or the soul scan plus healing. So let me know if I can help you guys out in any way, and we'll see you in the next reading. Bye. All right, hi group number 2. Welcome to your awakening reading. You guys chose number 38, Olympus. So I really feel like this awakening is tapping into your inner strength. It's like godlike powers and your infiniteness, if that's even a word. So I'm seeing Hercules approaching the gates of Olympus in my mind. I'm also seeing the various gods representing their different archetypes, their strengths, their responsibilities, and how they go about their quote-unquote business. So I'm seeing this awakening for you kind of being related to work is what I'm sensing, but I'm not 100% sure how that plays out. But I'm getting this thing of like whatever your talent or skill is and how you apply that in whatever your job is, and the archetype of your soul being expressed through that in a new way. Okay, so let's take a look at some more cards for you guys. There's a couple of decks that I felt called to. This was one of them. Oh, whoa, okay. We got 2 right away. Let's start with that. You have the voice of the heart. I silence the fear in me and discover the voice of my heart. The fruit of these words guides me. I trust the song of my soul. My intuition leads me on the path to light. Okay. We also have the calm. I breathe, live, and grow the light within me. I do one thing at a time and focus on the present moment. I cast off my doubts. All fear dissipates, and I find peace in my being. So I'm seeing that when you get calm, you can really hear your intuition more clearly. And part of this next awakening that you're going through, group number 2, is that you are feeling more trusting. And I just got the word valiant. That is so random. You're feeling more valiant in your ability to trust your intuition and to take action. It does give me, when I think of the gods, it's almost like superhero energy, you know, being able to use a divine skill that you have to better the lives of others. So it does feel like a higher level service of some kind, or I just keep getting that feeling of responsibility, and that's why I think I'm relating it to work. So I'm interested to see how these kind of connect to that energy that I'm just intuitively feeling, because the cards are all kind of saying different things, but that's the general vibe I'm getting. Let's take a look at your crystal mandala cards as well. Oh, yeah, I do feel that one too. Okay. I didn't mean to toss the card so flippantly. It was just like, let's take a look at this one then. Relief and Repair, Ascended Master Mataji and Crimson Cuprite. Crimson Cuprite. So I feel like this is a state of repair that you're in, because we do have, you know, this feeling of silencing the fear, breathing in and getting calm, relief and repair. Oh, this could have been anxiety. We also have meaningful sacrifice, Ascended Master Jesus and Rosophia. So this could have been related to some kind of anxiety that you had, or a choice. I just heard that, a choice that you had to make. A choice that you had to make based on your intuition. It's like you had to give up something that may not have made sense, or this may be coming in the future, but I'm feeling it as though it was in the past. But timelines are very wibbly wobbly, so you know, sometimes it's hard to put your finger on it. But yeah, it feels like something happened before that made you kind of say, you know, this is not for me, and to really heal myself and to be able to listen to my intuition, I have to get into a circumstance that is going to really not provoke this level of constant stress. So I don't even think that it was necessarily anxiety in the, you know, neurotypical sense, or the I should actually say neurodivergent sense. But what I mean here is that I think that it wasn't like a chemical thing in the brain. It was an environmental stressor, and a chronic one, right? A long period of being in an environment, in a work situation. Again, that's where work comes into it, where you were really kind of pushed to the limits is what I'm feeling. And you had to kind of override manually your intuitive voice and your spirit. So, you know, like, let's say, for example, this doesn't have to be literal or apply to you directly. It's just, for example, you could have been in like a corporate environment, and you can't be your authentic aligned self necessarily in that field, because, you know, if you say, oh, I'm not going to be able to make it to this meeting because my intuition is telling me I need to take a quiet day, well, you're liable to get fired, or that'll just be looked on or frowned upon, you know? So it kind of makes you look, I hate this term, but woo-woo. Oh, I hate it so much. What does that even mean? Anyway, that's not relevant. I mean, it is relevant here, but yeah, I just feel like you guys were in a situation where there was a lot of stress and pressure. And because of that, it was really hard for you to connect to your inner voice and to feel that sense of calm that allows you to have this moments of relief and repair and connection to your divine self and to what you really need at soul level. And this may have required you to make a meaningful sacrifice. It's not like you're sacrificing something that you really, for something you don't want to do. This is like, I need to give up what I think is providing me with this security to be able to nourish and nurture myself, so that I can heal, so that I can trust myself again, so that I can really empower and align with my spiritual purpose here in this life, rather than doing something that just provides for my material needs. Does that make sense? Now, it doesn't have to be that in particular, but that's the example that's coming up, and that's kind of the feeling I'm getting. Let's take a look at this card. Oh, wow. Safe to be seen in reverse, Archangel Gabriel and turquoise. Okay, I was going to mention something about the throat chakra here with the voice of the heart, and now we have Archangel Gabriel. So this is very much about communication and being safe to be seen here, really talking about this capacity to show up and be communicating authentically. And that's kind of the example I was seeing. It's like you can't speak your truth to people in an environment where they are not valuing that, or they don't understand that. And so those types of needs are not going to be looked on kindly or understood. And that can be really damaging in and of itself, being misunderstood by people, having to repress your authentic voice, not feeling safe to be seen or to speak your truth. That's really damaging, and at soul level, that can get you out of alignment pretty quickly. So really, I'm seeing this awakening for you, group number 2, coming back into a state of repair and relief after making this sacrifice to leave a situation, a work environment particularly, that has been causing you to repress or suppress your authentic voice. Now let's get a card from Whoa. I'm not going to edit that out. This is the White Light Oracle. And I am feeling that one. And this one. Okay. Let me fix these cards. Okie dokie, there we go. So back to your reading now that things are cleaned up a little bit. Oh, that's part of the message. Something got messy. Something spilled over and you had to make that sacrifice of, well, I need to clean it up. I need to find this moment to repair. And to do that, you kind of had to reset. Oh, okay. Reset to recall your power. That's what they're talking about here with Olympus, because they keep showing me Hercules at the gates right after he's proved that he's a true hero, which in the movie Hercules, the Disney version, he sacrifices. To save Meg, he throws himself into the pit of damned souls, and he's not expected to come out of that, but he continues and he persists until he gets her. And then the moment that he catches her, he's a true hero, because he's basically just said, I'm willing to die to save your soul. And then as a result, he becomes immortal again. So he doesn't end up dying. So there's something there. I'm still not sure how this all fits together, but there's something there that, like, some kind of a situation that really tested you or caused you to find out what being in alignment really means for you individually, and putting yourself in a position where you maybe had to reorganize or restructure things in your life that had become messy so that you could heal. And they did just give me the word recover, but recover doesn't necessarily mean like recovery. It could be that you're recovering your strength or recovering your voice or recovering your power. Anyway, let's look at these cards. Ivory wish-fulfilling crow. I do want to look at the guidebook for these ones. And magnetism of Eros. Okay, I do need to cover up here. Hold on. Yeah, the YouTube algorithm doesn't like any nudity. So I actually want to read magnetism of Eros first because it's card 1, and then we're going to look at ivory wish-fulfilling crow. So magnetism of Eros says, trust in what your heart yearns for without concern about how it will manifest. Take steps toward that which moves your heart. Reach out for what your soul wants and needs. Allow yourself to be vulnerable, for only then can you be truly held. That which appears out of reach or unavailable to you is closer than you realize. Eros is a Greek word for love, so I find that interesting that we've got this Greek word here, and Olympus is the Greek mythology. So there's something about the voice, language, and time is what they just told me. This could be a Greek lifetime for you that you're reawakening to as well. If this is not playing out literally in your life, although it could be reflected in that as well, this could be something that you had in a lifetime in Greece. And that's why the archetypes are related to that time period. That could also be significant because that's a message that I just heard. Now, that doesn't have to be for everyone, but take it if it resonates. Now, let's look at Ivory Wish-Fulfilling Crow. So this card says, you can have what you truly want. Such knowledge helps soften and release fear, grasping, control, and doubt. Have confidence that the universe hears your prayers and is even now leading you into that which you seek. You can take sanctuary within your spiritual connection whenever you need stabilization and protection against the fluctuations of the external world. No matter what is happening around you, there is a way through to the fulfillment of your potential. I did want to note that it was hard for me to find this one in the book. I kept feeling like I was there, but I wasn't yet. And as I was reading that short description, which is really only like one paragraph, I stumbled several times, which in the editing, I will have clipped that out, but I'm mentioning it so you guys have awareness of that happening because it's relevant to your reading. So it can feel like there was a mess or you weren't doing things in the right way, or, you know, it's like you were stumbling and falling, or you kept coming up against these mistakes, or feeling as though you weren't good enough. Because even in the story of Hercules, in that movie, he really doubts himself. He doesn't know how to control his strength. Everybody kind of ostracizes him. He doesn't fit in, and he's constantly looking for a place where he can call home, where he can feel like he belongs. I mean, he sings a whole song about that. And so he finds someone who can kind of explain, you know, this is where you come from. This is why you're different. You're not here to fit in. You're here to stand out, safe to be seen. And even though you might have made mistakes in the past and didn't know how to work with your power or what you needed, I feel like the ivory wish-fulfilling crow here is kind of emphasizing and highlighting that that's okay. Making mistakes and stumbling on your awakening path and your embodiment journey is normal. And actually, they just said it's called for. It's actually called for because it gives you context. It gives you perspective. You wouldn't be able to fulfill the role or the responsibility of that thing, that job, that obligation that you've signed up for at soul level if you didn't have that previous mistake and context or failures to really support you in the knowing that you have later on. And I see that through this period of awakening, you're coming back into connection and you're reaching for something that feels very significant to you. Now, Eros is not necessarily romantic love. I love how the Greeks have many words for love. Like my yaya always says to me, agapemu. So this is like a deep and profound whole form of love. And I'm feeling like there's multiple layers of this love that you are delving into through this point of awakening for yourself, group 2, and being able to connect to the real core of that love is what's going to provide this relief and repair. Maybe it's compassion for yourself. Maybe it's the courage to show up in the world and be seen, or to step into your power. Because I'm seeing that here it's partially your environment that has restricted you and partially your own fear of your own power. And if the environment was restricting, that was actually just a manifestation of the fear of your own power and stepping into it and fully expressing it. So you are magnetizing to you an opportunity to start fresh. They're showing me the number 1 here, and then they showed me the number 11. So 111 being an indication of awakening, activation, awareness, and new beginnings. That's kind of like a gateway that you walk through. And they just reminded me that number 38, which was the card that you guys chose as your significator, or the number on that card, also showed up several times in group 1. So those two readings could be connected for a certain individual, or maybe a few of you who really felt called to both, whether you watched that one first and then this one, or the other way around. The meaning and the messages will be unique to you, is what Spirit just said, but if you felt called to both, then you know what to do. Now, group 2, I feel like this point of awakening for you is going to bring you a state of calmness that will give you clarity of what you really want to do, and more specifically, what you really want to be. So this feels career oriented. What do you want to be when you grow up, is what Spirit just said. What do you want to be when you grow up? And you might be fully grown up already, but there's still room to ask that question and soul search for the answer, because it's within you. And I'm seeing the turquoise here, both the crystal and the color being reflected here in the calm card. So turquoise is connected to both the throat chakra, but also the high heart. The high heart chakra being between the green and blue energy centers, throat and heart. So it's right in between, and it's turquoise color. And the high heart is your spiritual purpose. It really expands your concept of compassion, and it puts you in a position where you can really step into your mission here on earth in terms of what your soul wanted to do when it incarnated, because that's what I mean by mission. It's not like some kind of obligation that you need to fulfill. It's what your soul finds meaning and value in and decided that it really at its highest level wants to do and be. That's it. So I'm seeing here, group 2, that part of this awakening phase for you is really being able to find your truth and then follow that decisively towards making some changes in your life that are going to result in you finding a path that suits you and your individual skills and talents much better than where you were before or what you were previously experiencing. So I hope that this reading supports you. I do feel like there's one more message. Hold on one sec. Yeah, there's definitely a throat chakra activation here, because when I tried to tune into what the last message was, I could feel it, but I didn't know what it was. My mind started racing, and it was like almost in this state of overthinking, which I'm very familiar with in my everyday life, but it doesn't usually happen too much in readings because I get into flow state. And I think that's actually the message, is sometimes you actually just need to talk to get into flow state, group number 2. Because if your primary energy or one of your top skills or gifts at soul level is communication, then you sometimes, if you just sit and don't say anything, you might get kind of lost in your own thoughts. It's actually better to just start talking, because the more that you talk, the more that that information channels out. It's almost like you get into the current or the flow of your divine expression, and things will come out of your mouth that you didn't even know that you knew. Okay, so this is really what I'm seeing here as part of your divine gift, or part of your superpower, if we're looking at it that way. It's part of your godliness, really. Your divine expression is that, and it's to do with communication, I think, here for you, and that being related to your service. So being a communicator could be a teacher, could be a student, could be, both. If you're one, you're the other. Could be writing, speaking, uplifting others, sharing divine information. Yeah, that's what Jesus did too. We do have Jesus here. He communicated to the world, and we have books thousands of years later from him. So, well, indirectly, but yeah. So there's a lot here to kind of go into, but I think I'll leave it there, and I'll let you interpret this using your intuition and your inner voice to guide you. Maybe journaling would be helpful for you, group number 2. If you don't do that already, it could be something that will help you to gain some realizations and to find some relief and repair and direction in your life, because that will, again, it's similar to speaking. As soon as you start writing, you might start finding that you're just channeling information because it's part of your divine gift. You're like a conduit for this, and it comes through language. All right, so I am sending you guys so much love. I hope that this reading helped you in your spiritual awakening, and if you do need any more direct support from me, I do provide additional content and benefits through the members only side of the channel, where we've got members only pick a card readings, tutorials, and live streams once a month where you guys can ask me questions directly. And if you want to go even deeper, I do have available spots for one-on-one readings in the month of November, and those options are listed on my website, which is linked below. It's tarotandbeyond.com. So you guys can check that out if you want to book an intuitive tarot reading with me or a soul scan and healing session. Those are available now. So thank you guys so much for being here, for supporting the channel in your various ways. I love you, and we'll see you in the next reading. Bye. All right, hi group number 3, welcome to your awakening reading. You guys chose number 42, rebirth. So I feel like with the phoenix here really rising in its power, I see you guys going through some kind of a transformation where you're being reborn, as it says here in the card. Now, this stage of your awakening, it does feel like you've hit up against, they're showing me somebody in like a room, and every single wall, it's kind of like an octagon, and every single wall is made of brick, and it's like you're trying to go this way and you hit up against a brick wall, and you try to go this way and you hit up against a brick wall, and it's kind of frustrating, that's what I'm feeling intuitively. It just feels like I'm trapped, I can't get out, I don't know where the exit is, I feel stuck. And I'm seeing that this stage of awakening for you is facilitating a rebirth, in the sense that you're able to find an exit. For some of you, this is a very intense message that's coming through, but I have to say it. For some of you, you may have been contemplating suicide, or you may in the past have contemplated suicide or had suicidal ideation. Now, I have never had this come up in a reading before, and this is a very sensitive topic. I don't even know if I'm going to get censored for using that word or not. But I have to share this message. They're saying there's another way. There's another way. That's not the way. There are ways to leave this world peacefully without any soul damage, but taking your own life in a state of desperation is not one of them. Okay, that's directly from Spirit. So I'm feeling like I just need a minute to ground because that was quite intense. Not what I was expecting from this reading, but I never really know what's going to happen. So I'm just going to take a second to ground. You know what? Why don't you ground with me? Group number 3. I was going to just take a second and edit it out, but let's do this together. It's more powerful that way. So let's take a few deep breaths. And just center in the moment for a second and just be here. Listen to my voice. Look at my hands. Let's just be here for a moment together. Know that you're safe and that you are going to become unstuck, is what Spirit just said. Unstuck. Very soon. So this is part of the phase that you're in, and grounding can help you to reform yourself, is what they just said. Now, reform can have many contexts. You can reform a lump of clay into something new, and that could be the rebirth you're going through. Or reform can also be in, like reform school, or that context of creating form through a new structure or discipline. So that could be part of it as well. Yeah, they are showing me, oh, okay. So in that octagonal room that they were showing me before, and all of the walls were brick and there was really no doors, they're showing me that it's not like you find an exit. It's not like all of a sudden an exit appears and you're like, oh, I didn't see that door there before, but now there it is. They're actually showing me that this reform is you creating a structure for yourself to move upward. Now, the number 8 and the octagon feels significant to me. This is all just channeling from this one card. It's very, very cool. But I'm seeing like you were trapped in a space of confinement energetically, like a matrix style layer or dimension of reality based on your consciousness and the soul blueprint and karma that you were playing out. Number 8 relates to karma. And what I'm also seeing there is that through the reformation of the self, you are building codes, key codes specifically through this ladder. The ladder reminds me of Jacob's ladder, reminds me of the Kundalini awakening, moving up the ladder of the spine or the ladder of the chakras, being able to align in this way to achieve a higher state of being. Because what they're showing me is you building a ladder to get out of this octagon. When I think of an octagon, I also think of, what is it when they fight each other? Yeah, like Gladiator, being trapped in a reality or a dimension where you're constantly kind of feeling like you're pitted against other people, or you constantly have to be on the defensive or at war with others or yourself. It's just very violent and it's not a safe place to be. Again, you're raising yourself up. So this next stage of your awakening is getting out of that world, really, getting out of that timeline, if you will, of being trapped in the lower density realms of human confinement. Wow. Yeah. So you're breaking past the barrier of illusion. Okay. Ooh, my eyes are getting itchy. So you're going to be seeing very clearly something you didn't see before, and it's going to be almost painful and uncomfortable because you'll have to see an inconvenient or face an inconvenient truth to be able to reform your approach and to shift your vibration upward so that you can escape from this trap, right? Because that's what it essentially is. It's like a dimensional trap of consciousness that keeps you stuck in a loop of suffering. But you can break out of that, and it's through this rebirth. So let's take a look at that. Ooh, this is such an intense reading. Group number 3. Let's take a look. I do feel this card. Those 3. Okay, so we have Taurus, trust, patience, and sensuality. Very grounded sign, and that's what we were doing in the beginning of this reading, was grounding together. So I feel like that's part of getting out of this trap, is finding a way to ground and feel safe, trusting and having patience with yourself, your process, and getting reconnected to your body. sensuality is really standing out to me here. So being anchored in your body and having your physical senses working for you rather than keeping you trapped in a state of perpetual suffering. So like, let's say, for example, you experience chronic pain, or you're just very sensitive or even oversensitive. I can totally relate. I have sensory processing issues, but you know, it feels like being trapped in a body that doesn't feel comfortable to be in. It can be very triggering, and that can cause a lot of dissociation or disconnection or externalization and frustration. So I'm seeing that by grounding and creating safety in the body, this is going to be one of the rungs on that ladder that gets you up and out of this trap. And so this could be doing very grounding meditations, or this could be doing breath work, or something that gets you in your body and helps to alleviate some pain or resistance that's been stuck in there, whether it's emotional pain or physical pain or both. You're able to, by fully getting into the body, you can actually process it and release it so it doesn't keep swirling and looping back on itself. They keep showing me that karma cycling and cycling and cycling. And the only way to stop it is to step into that mid-cycle and say, I'm going to do something different, because the only way to change karma is to take a different action, different approach. And we have Chiron, hurt and heal. Yeah, that's what I'm feeling. Like there's a lot of pain here. Chiron is the wounded healer. And the story goes that Chiron was a centaur who was, I think he was, I can't remember. I'm so bad at like retelling stories that I've read once or twice. But he's a centaur who's a direct descendant of one of the healer gods in ancient Greek mythology. And he ends up getting struck with a poisoned arrow, and he's unable to heal himself. He can't die because he's immortal. So instead what he does is he just kind of deals with that pain and endures it while he goes around healing other people. And Chiron in our charts, natally, astrologically, can show us where one of our deepest wounds is. It's like where the fracture is or where the break is. And they're showing me that there's like this schism, this separation here that really is actually illuminating something that needs to be transformed. And so if you want to explore your Chiron in your chart, I think that's recommended. You know, what house is it in? What sign is it in? Maybe it's connected to Taurus, or Taurus will help to heal it. Or maybe it's in your Taurus house in your chart. So it will give you some indication of what needs to be healed here. That's going to be one of the keys. That's another rung on the ladder is what they just showed me, to get yourself out. And you do have to build this ladder, and it does take time and patience. That's why Taurus is here too, because it's like one rung at a time, but eventually you get it to the point where you're up and out of that war zone of pain and suffering, and you're able to really start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And we have Mercury. Think, learn, network, and communicate. So this Mercury is also the ruler of the mind. So this is how you think about this situation. They just said how you interpret information. How do you associate things in your mind? Does everything go back to fear? That's really a trauma response, right? If we've been traumatized, especially at a young age, our brain is going to process and filter information through that lens. So it's going to see everything as trauma, and it's going to associate everything to danger. And that's like being trapped in the gladiator's ring, trapped in a perpetual state of fight or flight, constantly either having to defend yourself or die. It can feel like that being here, well, not necessarily here on Earth, but in that particular dimension of Earth. Okay, so this is finding a way to free your mind. This is thinking differently, and it could be rewiring your brain, quite literally, through meditation, breath work, healing modalities that are conventional or unconventional that you haven't explored. There's a couple that I'm exploring right now: neurofeedback, light therapy, photobiomodulation is actually what it's called. There's many layers to this, and the reason I'm bringing this up in this reading is because you guys might resonate with that just based on what I'm seeing and feeling. There could be some trauma from your past. You might have PTSD or CPTSD. You might have depression and anxiety or resonate with those symptoms or cluster of symptoms. And I'm seeing here that there are ways to restructure your mind, to restructure your brain. And you can also go the other direction. You can restructure your brain to help restructure your mind and your thinking processes. So those two are interconnected. It's not just a one-way street. It goes the other direction as well. Ideally, you want to do both at the same time. You want to be working on the mind and working on developing and healing the brain and the way that its structures function. So if you're doing both, you can really heal. Because if you've been struggling with depression, which is really that's just what I'm feeling here. Depression, dissociation, as a result of trauma. You do want to hit it from both sides. Because again, that's 2 new rungs on the ladder they just showed me. Yeah, so we're at 4 rungs on that ladder now. So hitting the brain and mind dynamic from both sides. That is 2 more steps to freedom. Okay, let's get a few cards from the deck that your significator came from. These 2. And that one. Okay. Seclusion. Oh, look how peaceful. It's like a little mountain cabin. So maybe some seclusion has been necessary. You've felt secluded, or maybe seclusion is part of your healing. Getting back to nature. Oh, yeah, they did just show me in my mind. And I actually I'm reading a book right now. You know what? I'm going to go get it and I'm going to show it to you. Hold on. Okay, so this is the brain I'm reading. It is the brain's way of healing. Remarkable discoveries and recoveries from the frontiers of neuroplasticity. And this happened to come into my reality through connection, very randomly through a friend. And it happens to be at that perfect timing that I'm doing neurofeedback and stuff like that. So you want to watch out for those types of synchronicities and stuff. As you know, those are Spirit's way of guiding you to the information and the healing that you need. But what they're showing me here with seclusion is that resetting your brain could be through going and spending some, what's the word? Deliberate time in nature. So going on a camping trip can help to reset your brain. If it's for a week or 2, the longer the better. It can help you to reset your neurobiology because your circadian rhythm is adjusted. You're probably doing more physical activity. You're getting fresh air. You're not exposed to as many indoor toxins. You're not working. So this can be kind of like a reset for you that is part of the catalyst or another rung on that ladder of rebirth. So this can really help to create some awakening for you as well, because there's a reconnection to nature, which is also Taurus, being an earth sign, rules nature. And you're able to in turn get back to your own natural functioning through your body. And the time alone can help you to work through your thoughts and do some introspection as well. It's very hermit style energy. Now we also have descend. Wow, look at that. Okay. So this feels like going into the underworld to identify where this hurt and healing is needed. It's like exposing the cracks in the system, taking a look at the wounds and the perceptions and the biases or the cognitive associations and neural pathways that are keeping you stuck in that repeating loop, and objectively identifying them. Now, descend does not mean that you go and you stay in that darker, more subliminal part of the self. You go down there consciously and intentionally to retrieve information, and then you come back out. You don't stay there. That's the thing. That's not useful. Actually, that's what I'm also reading another book, The Body Keeps the Score. And I do have to warn you, though, if you have CPTSD or any kind of significant trauma history, it can be triggering to read that book. I've had it recommended to me by so many people, and I finally sat down and started reading it, and it's very triggering. It kind of puts me into a little bit of dissociative fight or flight response because of the stories that are in there and the trauma that is described. I think from like a very desensitized practitioner perspective, I can see how it would be very useful to have those stories put in to contextualize the information that's being discussed. But as an actual experiencer of trauma, it can be triggering or re-traumatizing. So you do want to be careful with that. Maybe get like a Cliff Notes version of it just for, the real meat of the information. But anyway, I'm seeing you going down into the depths of yourself, burning yourself down, so to speak, as the phoenix does, and rebirthing yourself. But you have to be willing to take the time to deliberately, they keep giving me that word deliberate, to be deliberate about this process of healing. Okay, let's take a look. You have past. Yeah, it's in your past. That's actually what I was going to talk about with The Body Keeps the Score. Trauma is the re-experiencing of past pain over and over and over again. And in the book, the author describes trauma and the after effects as being almost like two separate things, where the trauma has a beginning, middle, and end, but the after effects, the post-traumatic stress, is a result of these flashbacks and these very visceral re-experiencings of the pain or the trauma that occurred, and the dysregulation and the bodily response to that and the coping mechanisms to that. And that continual re-experiencing is almost worse than the trauma itself because it's unpredictable. There's no finite time period where it begins and ends. It can happen any time and anything can set it off. So it's like living trapped in a state of perpetual trauma. Now this is making sense why they showed me that gladiator ring. Because that's kind of what trauma is. It's like it keeps you stuck in this feedback loop of pain and suffering and never knowing when it's going to end. So healing really comes when we get into the middle of that process and we stop it. We create a bit of a disconnection between that continual feedback loop and we start to change the wiring. Because what ends up happening, especially with complex post-traumatic stress disorder, is that we've lived in an environment for so long that was stressful and we could not escape it physically necessarily. And so we kind of learn to live with it, or we adjust and adapt to that environment, to that emotional state. And because of that, it becomes the natural dominant state, or the neural pathways in the brain that we had to use to survive become the normal functioning, even when our circumstances change. This is what keeps the pattern going. The body doesn't realize that the trauma has passed, and so it keeps re-experiencing it. The body keeps the score. It's stored in the mind, in the neural pathways, in the fascia, in the tissues. The body has memory, just as the mind does. And so it's this memory, this haunting, that creates this perpetual state of dis-ease and imbalance and pain and suffering. Chiron, the wounded healer, wounded by a magical poisoned arrow, but unable to die. The trauma continues. Now they're showing me that eventually Chiron does heal himself. It's through healing others that he's able to compile a vast wealth of knowledge that gives him access to an insight that he previously would not have had, which allows him to find a cure and to reverse his state of suffering. Now, I'm not aware of that. I haven't read that part of the mythology, but that all just came through from spirit. So this is what they're saying, is that if you can descend and face your fears of the past, not by continually reliving it and re-traumatizing yourself or re-experiencing that pain, but by understanding it and finding a way to stop that pattern, to change the neural pathway, to shift the homeostasis that has adapted to that survival mechanism, possibly through seclusion or some kind of rebirth, then you're going to be able to reconnect to yourself in a way that you haven't since before the trauma occurred. And the pain and suffering that you've endured through this phase will be catalyzed and alchemized into growth. Okay, let's get a final closing card. Oh, there it is. Whoa, there it is. Let's put a little brevity into, levity, I should say, into this reading because it's a bit heavy. Spear of the Guru Mother. Wow, I'm not surprised to see this card here. This card always comes up when it's very much about your focus and being deliberate. The Spear of the Guru Mother, Goddess Durga and Hematite, helps you to get very clear and deliberate, to take action in a very direct way, to find and resolve a situation and find a solution. So this is like a very intentional, directed energy. It's very mental, but it can also be about taking action. So this could be, you know, trying new therapies or new methodologies that are going to help you to rewire your brain or reconnect to your body or process some of that somatic trauma or some kind of transformation, because the butterfly here goes from the caterpillar and then breaks itself down into goo, but retains its consciousness and then reforms itself. And same thing with the phoenix. So same energy here of like needing to kind of descend into the past, break yourself down with the support of somebody who knows what they're doing. Like I would say, ideally a psychotherapist, counselor, and counselor might not even be enough, like psychotherapist or psychoanalyst or somebody specialized in depression, anxiety, trauma, to give you support through this period of reconditioning is what they just said at Spirit Soul level. They said reconditioning. So reconditioning your neurons to fire in different pathways that don't associate, you know, just by default to the pain or the fear or that trauma. And reconditioning your body as well. Yeah, getting reconnected with the body, feeling safe in the body, feeling connected to nature and connected to other people in harmonious ways as well. So this is probably, this awakening for you is pretty intense, group number 3. That's really what I'm taking away from this reading, is that, yeah, it's quite intense. It's going to require you to face your fears, or it already has, but I do feel that there's a lot of elevation that you are achieving through this period or through this awakening, and there's support there as well. Your angels are supporting you, your guides are trying to back you up here, sending you information, even if you can't hear them or sense or receive that information, because when you're in a perpetual state of re-experiencing trauma, you're not on the same wavelength as your guides. So you can speak to them, they can hear you, and they can benefit and support you as best they can, but you can't necessarily hear them. So if that's another thing that you're feeling frustrated with, as though you're alone, you're not. You're just not on the same kind of walkie-talkie channel as those higher beings, because you're in this pit, you know? You're in the octagon. So you got to get up out of there, and then things will become a lot clearer. So I see you doing that, and I'm sending you so much love, peace, healing energy to help you to recover your power, your divine self, and rebalance your homeostasis to a state of well-being where you can thrive in this world and the next instead of just surviving. Okay, so I'm sending you so much love, protection, blessings, and healing energy for your greatest and highest good. May so it be. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here and supporting the channel. And if you really need some additional support here, you guys, I would recommend going to a therapist or somebody licensed and specializing in that field. But if you do resonate with me and you would like some supplementary support, I am currently offering one-on-one services. So if you resonate with me and you want to work with me directly, we can do an intuitive reading like this one-on-one via Zoom, or recorded and sent out to you remotely. Or I do soul level scans, psychic readings, energy healings to support you as well. So we can go into the chakra system, the soul stream, past lives, things like that to help you heal, or even past in this life. If I feel like I'm the right one for you, you can check out my website and book a session with me. It's tarotandbeyond.com. It's linked below. All right, guys, I'm sending you so much love and healing. As I said, I will see you in the next reading. Bye.